We are delighted to welcome Venerable Bhathiramule Amandasan Theru from Jethavanarama Buddhist Monastery, Sri Lanka. A revered teacher, guide and living example of Buddhist timeless message. He was technological solution architect at one of the world's leading investment bank in London. Venerable Amandasan Theru made a life-changing decision to renounce material success and dedicate himself to the pursuit of enlightenment. Globally renowned for his Gateway of Nibbana sermon series, he has the gift of expressing Buddhist philosophy in simple and relatable terms that resonates with modern audience. Through his discourses, he helps people explore the root of suffering and discover pathway to healing through understanding. As the guiding light of Vimukti Foundation, Venerable Amandasan Theru leads several humanitarian initiatives from youth development and education to drug inhabitation and compassionate care, transforming many lives across Sri Lanka. He currently mentors over 100 monks and equal number of male and female Angarikas, nurturing a generation of spiritual practitioners grounded in selfless service and self-realization. Venerable Amandasan Theru continues to touch hearts across cultures and continents, reminding us all that art of being happy begins with understanding oneself. Brothers and sisters, please join me in welcoming Venerable Bhathiramule Amandasan Theru.
With permission from the Noble Triple Gem, venerable members of the clergy, His Holiness Sadguru Sri Madhusudan Sai, members of the One World, One Family mission, respected elders and dearest children, Sai Ram. This is my second visit to this beautiful ashram, and I think it is more true than ever before, something that I observed on my previous visit here. So, permit me to mention it once again. In every individual I have encountered thus far, ever since I walked into this holy precinct, I have seen a little bit of Madhusudan Sai. And it is truly fascinating. It is truly beautiful. It's truly breathtaking. I know that you're all here, not just here in this grand auditorium, but also here in purpose and spirit, because you believe in the purpose that your leader stands for. Our paths crossed about a year or so ago when Sri Madhusudan Sai visited our monastery in Sri Lanka, and he brought with him not just himself, but quite frankly, all of you. And so on that day, I was resolved to someday pay a visit to this ashram and to see the great hands, the great hearts, and the beautiful minds that make this mission possible. On my previous visit, I got to bump into a few of you, but on this occasion, I have this magnificent opportunity to speak to all of you. So, on behalf of the monastery, and my purpose today here is to speak as the spiritual leader for this occasion, representing my motherland. I want to thank you all, first and foremost, for having us here and for giving us this wonderful opportunity to see who it is and what it is that makes this global mission a reality. Religion. So we are working our way towards the Global Religious Summit, and we are now on day 91, aren't we? So we've got another 9 days of activity, energy, and this vibe. And from the bottom of my heart, I wish and pray that all this culminates in that beautiful occasion, that momentous occasion. I want all of you to think for a moment about this religious summit that you're all preparing for. A summit is a point where many paths converge. You find a summit typically at the top of a mountain or top of a hill. And if you stand at the foot of a hill, you will see that there are many paths potentially to get up to the top of the hill. But once you get to the top, or at least until you get to the top, you may not realize that all paths lead there. But for ones who have got to the top, they realize that those on these individual paths are all actually taking one step at a time to get to that summit. For me, that is what the World Religion Summit represents. See, if you ask me, ladies and gentlemen, what religion is, and you'd be forgiven for asking me that sort of a question because, well, I can't hide the fact that I'm a religious man. But then I'll be the one to first deny the fact that I'm also a religious man, because it is not religion that I represent. It is the truth. At the summit of all these paths that religion takes, we must all find that there is one truth. And there can't be multiple versions of the truth, can there? There can only be one version of the truth. If we can appreciate that all religions are a vehicle that help us navigate this hill to get to the top where we can experience the truth that life awaits for us, then I think we have found the purpose behind religion. Now, when we talk about religion, I mean, in a monastery or an ashram like this, it is very commonplace. We can talk about religion quite freely. But I personally, over the last 10 or so years, I have been a monk. When I visit places, institutions, and we talk about religion, it's a very sensitive topic in many places. Can't say everywhere, but in many places it's quite a sensitive topic. So much so that sometimes when they see that we are religious folk, they turn around and walk away. And that is such a pity, I think. I think that happens when we forget what religion stands for, the purpose behind religion. And partly you can't blame people for thinking like that, because although we talk about religion, when you look around the world, the very thing that was introduced or that was brought about to bring harmony, peace, and unity, it appears to be that it is exactly what causes divide, division, segregation, discrimination, to the extent that today we might even be invited to talk to an audience, a religious gathering. I don't mean necessarily this audience, but if I were to speak to religious leaders or people who represent a particular religion, or any religion for that matter, I might even be encouraged or invited to speak about religious harmony, religious peace, and religious unity, cooperation. Don't you think that that defeats the purpose of religion altogether? In fact, is that not the greatest irony of all? If I had to speak to a gathering of religious individuals and I had to invite them and encourage them to unite, to think as one, to work together, to cooperate, to see each other as your own brothers and sisters, if I had to do that to people of a religion or people who identify themselves as those of religion, don't you think that we've missed the point altogether? It is not a religion's fault It is simply the fact that religion has been placed in the hands or the hearts or minds of people who are not wise enough to understand what religion is there in the first place for. It is not an instrument of division, ladies and gentlemen. It is an instrument for unity. And as I mentioned earlier, it has to be the journey, it has to be a vehicle that takes us to, that converges us to a single purpose. And that is that purpose that we need to be aware of and come to an awareness of. Because without purpose, nothing is of any use. If I couldn't understand the purpose of this glass, this would just be a paperweight. It would be of no use to me. Purpose is everything. You know that a man has lived a good life when you see someone who has lived a life with purpose. In the Dhammapada, it is said, these are words of the Buddha, I repeat with this audience, it is said that a life of a day lived with purpose is far superior, far greater than 100 years of existence, having not realized what its purpose is. See, this is where you all, dear elders, students, and members of this wonderful mission, this is where you stand out. You stand out because whatever you do, when you extend your hand out to help someone, when you reach out to support communities, you do it with purpose. You do it with a full heart. And you have a great leader here who is there to guide you on that path. I'm a great believer in the fact that we need teachers, leaders, fathers, mothers, who have seen the truth to guide us on that path. And my life is an example of that. I am who I am today because of the people who have shaped me. The gentleman who introduced me just a few moments ago before I came up onto the stage gave a very wonderful description of myself in my personal profile, but I hope you heard in those words were embodied the things that people helped me become, and not me alone. None of those things would have been possible if the wonderful people who walked into my life hadn't shaped me to become who I am today. And I think we can all agree with that about ourselves. I know that when I stand here, I'm looking at an audience, a gathering of people who have discovered the purpose of their lives. You're here with mission, you're here with purpose. You're here because you understand that life has more to do with just living. Life is all about giving life to others. It's about helping other people find their meaning. In this wonderful institution, you have a hospital. And before very long, you're going to have the largest free hospital the world has ever seen. Isn't that just magnificent? On my previous visit, I had a wonderful opportunity to visit the hospital and meet with the director and many of the other members of staff. And on that occasion, I was also reminded that, this is a little anecdote, I don't know whether it is true or not, but I think it has an essence which is what's most important. It is said that on one occasion a visitor visits NASA, the space exploration agency in the States, and they see a janitor cleaning the floors. And so he asks, "What is it you're doing?" This is around the time when Neil Armstrong was supposed to land on the moon. So this gentleman replies, he's only a janitor, he replies, "I'm doing what I need to do to put a man on the moon." But his purpose was simply to clean the floors, wash the toilets. So when I visited the hospital, there were nurses, there were support staff, there were doctors. The place was buzzing with love, affection, energy, and spirit. And they were all striving to help people discover the purpose of their lives. Every human being that we come across, ladies and gentlemen, have the potential to make a difference. Otherwise, the powers that be, let's call that God, would not have put us here. We all have the potential for that. Think about this for a second. When we are out and about, when we are in other audiences, when we are in and amongst people, aren't we always very careful about our conduct? We always watch out for what we say, how we do, how we come across to other people, the way we dress, the way we walk, right? We're always very conscious about how we represent ourselves. It is because it's not just us we represent. We represent our parents. We represent our teachers. We represent our elders. We represent our community. So, of course, as you will understand, when you're out and about, you represent Sri Madhusudan's side. So when you speak to someone, when you extend your hand to someone to help someone, when you greet someone, you know that you are a representation of him. It is said that we are all created in the shape of God. So then, our purpose is to represent God on earth. That should be our life's purpose. God stands for all things good. Our purpose in life should be to represent God. What is it that God stands for? If we are all children of God, then our purpose in life should be to treat each other with love, affection, care, compassion, and dignity. Now, as a Buddhist monk, often I get asked this question, Venerable, how come you speak a lot about God? Because the Buddha does not speak so much about God. And in the Buddhist teaching, they don't speak of an almighty God. So how come you're always going on about God and God and God? Are you somehow trying to create some kind of a friction within the Buddhist community? What's your agenda? In this day and age, it's very difficult to even say the truth. People always question everything. That's all right. So then people ask me, do you believe in God? I say, of course, I do believe in God. And then they say, but I thought you were supposed to believe in the Buddha, not God. Then I reply, the reason you ask me this question is because you don't see that we speak of the same thing. Help me out, students at the back. How do you spell God? Thank you. It's one of the easiest words to spell, but one of the hardest words to embody, isn't it? G stands for give. Give. Or, that's what the O stands for. And D stands for deny. To deny. That is the God that I believe in. Give or deny. If you give something to someone, to others, God will ensure that that comes back to you. Give good to others, and you can be assured, like clockwork, God will ensure that good comes back to you. How come in this institution, this establishment, I always see a smile on your faces? Because you spend your lives turning frowns upside down. What's a frown upside down? Yes, that's the one you got on your face right now. That is what you have devoted and committed your lives to. And therefore you always carry a beautiful smile on your face. From the moment the driver picked us up at the airport, I saw that smile. So I wondered whether it was just a pickup taxi that had been summoned at that time, but then I saw the car pass on the windscreen. So then I realized, okay. This is from our home away from home. Might I also add, at our monastery, we now number 200 monks, just over actually. We had an ordination ceremony just a week ago. We also have anagarikas, young women, just like many of you here, who have come seeking spiritual liberation. We have almost 300 children in our care who are also on the pursuit of seeking that purpose in life. How can we help turn frowns upside down? That purpose. Over the last 10 years of our existence as a monastery, never has my guru, my teacher, permitted us or allowed us to stay outside of the monastery for any more than 1 or 2 nights. This ashram is the only exception to that. In a few weeks' time, several of our monks and several of our anagarikas will be arriving in this holy institution, and they'll be spending the next 3 to 4 years in your presence. They will come here to live amongst you, to work amongst you, to be part of this one world, one family. This is the only time where our Guru has permitted us to make that excursion outside the monastery for any prolonged period of time. So then you must understand how fondly we hold this institution in our hearts. And do you know why that is? It is because you don't just talk the talk, you walk the walk. Right from the great man who takes seat on this throne, it is deserved, that term is deserved, on this throne, from which he emanates his love and compassion. He encourages goodwill and well-being for all. Love one, love all. The love, affection, care, compassion that you embody within yourselves. To me, that is what religion is. If you cannot embody love, if you cannot embody camaraderie, if you cannot be a shining example of the fact that underneath our complexion we're all the same, then you have lost the purpose of religion. And it is when that happens, you find that one has to talk to an audience about religious harmony, religious peace, religious cooperation, because actually, like I said again, that is the biggest joke of the century. Because if you have to talk to an audience how to coexist, and if they're religious, then they're anything but religious. So religion is not a divisive instrument, ladies and gentlemen, but in the wrong hands, in the wrong minds, minds without wisdom, it can be. It's like a knife. Must you be wary of a man who carries a knife? Is he a threat? Does he pose a risk, a danger to you? Walk into that hospital once again. In the operating theaters, you will see many men and women with knives in their hands. They don't pose a threat. That's not danger. There's no risk there, because they hold it to heal, not to hurt. And religion is the same. Religion is a wonderful instrument. Therefore, only when you can see the summit of religion, the purpose behind all religions, which is to aspire to understand, to realize the truth, a universal truth. And that truth is a truth for Muslims, it is the truth for Hindus, it is the truth for Buddhists, it is the truth for Christians, for Catholics, for all religions. The truth. The truth is the purpose of why we are here. People ask then, what is spirituality? I've heard on an occasion Swami say, spirituality is fearlessness. I agree. It is to act with fearlessness in the pursuit of what is right. The greatest fear that we have, ladies and gentlemen, is not the fear of others. It's the fear that our conscience might accuse us. That's the greatest fear that we have. That our conscience might accuse us. So here's my invitation to you. If you want to live a spiritual life, this might be me teaching you to suck eggs here, so it is not intended with that, because you're all a very spiritual people. That is what has brought us here together. But if you wish to live a spiritual life, bear this in mind. Whenever we do something, there are two things to consider. Number one is what we do. The what we do. The what. The what we do has an impact on the recipient of that action. The what we do has an impact on the recipient of that action. But number two is the why we do it. The why. The why we do something has an impact on the doer. That is us. To lead a spiritual life, I invite you to ensure that you have a good why behind every action you take. Sometimes the what might be a failure. Sometimes the what might not manifest, might not materialize the way that we expect them to, and that's okay. You know that the hospital coming up is going to be a miracle, nothing short of that. And I know that you're all steadfastly working towards that goal, and I know that the people behind the scenes, who are always people behind the scenes, they never come forward to show their faces, such is their humility and humbleness. They think of nothing more than making sure that that day, when the 100th day arrives, when on that 100th birthday of Sai Baba, the hospital will open. So that is the what. If you ask me, will that be a success? Do miracles actually happen? Frankly, I'm more concerned about the why. So, let me put it this way as I make my concluding remarks. Including that grand project that is the hospital, and any other endeavor that you're all invested in, even if the what fails and you're not able to achieve what you want to achieve, fear not, ladies and gentlemen, for as long as you have a good why in your heart, for as long as your conscience does not accuse you, for as long as you can have a good night's sleep as you go to bed, and you have no guilt in your heart, then fear not, because that is what God hears. He does not hear your what, He hears your why. Give and you shall get. Give a good why and you shall get a good why. Once again, thank you all for inviting me. I might be the spiritual leader representing my country, and although I'm a monk and therefore I'm of the Buddhist tradition, it has been my honor and privilege to speak on behalf not just of Buddhists, but also of all religions and all faiths, all people whose purpose it is to share love, compassion, and live life with purpose. Thank you all very much once again. Sai Ram.
Talk about being put on the spot. Permission from the Noble Triple Gem. Venerable members of the clergy, His Holiness Sadguru Sri Madhusudan Sai, members of the One World, One Family mission, respected elders and dearest children. I knew the first speech I had to give, but this one has got to be off the cuff. And I'm also not Guru Thero. You will be seeing him on the 23rd. If he is the sun, I'm just a candle, taking inspiration from the great teachers that you have just heard Mr. De Silva speak of. We have all come together. We have all come together because there's a rhythm, I think, that all our hearts resonated. See, under this roof, it doesn't matter whether you're black or white, man or woman, Asian or Caucasian. It really doesn't matter whether you're rich or poor. What really matters is, under this hall, we have come with one purpose, and that is the purpose that is written on the back. One world, one family. It is a beautiful vision. Visions inspire us. And once we are inspired by a vision, we need a mission. A mission puts us on track to reach and achieve that vision. It's all good and well to have a vision, but then if our actions betray our words, then we don't have a mission. The very fact that when we walk in through the gates of this ashram, and as I said this morning, this is the second visit both to India as well as to this ashram. So my previous visit to India was also to this ashram, and so now the second one. I always feel that if all of India is like this, then how wonderful and what a great country, what a great nation India must be. So I always walk away with that belief that the rest of India must also be like this ashram, because I've not known any different. The hospitals in which you work, the schools in which you educate, the centers at which you heal, you give love, compassion, and kindness. This is what makes it all worthwhile. My teacher tells me that the value of life, the value of our lives, is not to be measured by the number of years that we have lived. Earlier on this afternoon, Sadhguru said that he's got another 10 years or so. How many more years do we want him to live? Another 200, right? Of course. So, if he's planning on another 10, I don't think it is up to him to make that choice. The Divine has spoken through our voices. Because what he has done here is he has given leadership. To be a manager is one, but to be a leader is something else. A leader guides, a leader inspires, a leader puts himself at the front. He's always there. But something that a leader also does is something that is very beautiful, and almost every time I've heard Swami speak, I notice that he always encourages and he always appreciates and he always praises all of you. And that's a truly remarkable character of a leader. Whenever I've had the opportunity to speak with him, both this time and the last, he always reminds us, I am just the person at the front of the stage or on the stage, but it is the people behind me that make all this happen. He has so much praise to give to all of you, and he always reminds us that these are the people that make it happen. In those words, and as he speaks them, I can see the love, compassion that he has towards all of you. From the moment, as I said this afternoon, we got picked up at the airport, to when we arrived at Sai Vishwa, the housekeeping staff that have looked after us so compassionately and with such love and affection, to each and every one of you that I have had the chance to speak with, to meet, and to be greeted by. I've not said this in Swami's presence before, so I take this opportunity to say that, Swami, in each and every one of them, I see a little bit of you. So it doesn't really matter that if and when we arrive at this ashram, I might not always get the chance to speak with Swami, because I know how much work he must have, and his busy schedules I don't think permits or allows him to always give us the opportunity to have a chat. But when I exchange words with you, all of you, when you say Sai Ram, when you bear that smile on your face and you ask me how I'm doing, and reminisce the last time we met, and ask me how's things at the monastery, how's Guru Tero, how are the Anagarikas, and so on, I hear Swami speak. What you have done here, Swami, is bring together people who have great potential, people who have the potential to love, to care, to give selflessly, and you have reminded them why God put them on this planet. It is our purpose in life to be a representation of our source, what put us here. If it is God who decided that we must live on this earth, for however many years that might be, as my teacher says, it is not the number of years that must count our success, but the number of hearts that we have healed and the number of minds that we have mended. Because people's minds need mending. They have anxiety, they have fear, and they worry. Many people don't sleep well at night. They may have a lot of money in their bank accounts. They may have a lot of wealth, and they may have a lot of property, and a lot to their name. People might have a lot of fame, but if when we die we must cry like when we were born, then that is not a life that has been lived with purpose. I truly believe that what you are doing here all together is a true representation of what the divine powers have put you here on this planet for. So from Jethavanarama monastery, all of us there, Guru Tero, my teacher, my fellow monks, the Anagarikas and the Anagarikas, may I extend an invitation to all of you, whenever you visit Sri Lanka, please remember that there's another little bit of the ashram there as well. So just as much as you feel homely, just as much as you feel love, affection, and compassion in this sanctified precinct, I hope you will find the same in Sri Lanka when you visit our monastery. So that invitation is out to all of you. And finally, may all the powers that be, may the divine, the powers that we can see and the powers that remain unseen, may all the goodness in this world come together, and through yourselves, may they manifest. May we be able to work together for many years to come, for many decades to come, because the world needs us. The world needs each and every one of you. Let us serve the purpose that God has put us here for. Let us be a shining example of what God would be if He took human form. May you all be successful in all your endeavors. And I wish you all the very best. Sai Ram.
A prayer from our Shanti mantras from the Upanishads say, Bhadram karne vishrunuyam devah bhadram pashe makshabhirya jatraha sthirairangaihi tushtuvagum tastanubihi vyashema devahitam yadayuhu. Which means, Bhadram karne bhihi shrunuyama. May we hear good things with our ears. Bhadram pashe. May we see good things with our eyes. And yat jajatraha devaha. We worship the divine. With able bodies, with healthy bodies. We should not fall sick and become dysfunctional. And how long we should do? As long as the gods have given us the life, the years of our life. Yadayuhu. As many years are given to us by the gods, may all these years be spent in worshipping them, listening to the good things and seeing good things around us. So yes, how long we live is not our choice, it is the choice of the divine. But the choice that we can make is how do we live those years that have been decided by the divine. That's all is in our hand. So we are all born with a purpose, as Guru Ammadasa told us just now, that we are all born with some purpose. And we are all important. Everybody is important. Because everybody has something to offer, something to contribute, something to do for the others. In the process, realize oneself. So yes, it is a wonderful opportunity to be born, whether rich or poor, it doesn't matter. To just be born as a human being and to be able to do something for someone is a great opportunity. And today we have celebrated so many people who have done not just something but a lot of things for a lot of people. We also have the great cricketer Arvinda De Silva. It was a chance meeting at Batiklo when the other great cricketer Sunil Gavaskar called him up and said, "See, I can't make it to Batiklo Hospital. They have invited me. Why don't you represent me? Why don't you go there?" And he came promptly. That was the first time we met, and he looked around, he understood, and he was in disbelief of what was going on. I felt so. And then afterwards, slowly as he understood and started becoming a part of this great mission, today he serves as a board of trustee at our Sri Lanka Foundation, and also goes about telling about this mission to so many people and inspires his own colleagues and his own employees to work for the good of the society. And last year, as you know, not last year, this year, we had organized the One World, One Family cricket match, which was between India and Sri Lanka in the spirit of friendship. And he was the one who organized the match and brought all his friends from Sri Lanka, and we had a wonderful time here. So thank you, Arvinda, for what you're doing, and I'm sure your third innings are going to be your best innings in life. He's joined by his wife Anushka, who is very much here. So we're very happy that you could come here. Many, many best wishes and blessings to both of you. As I already mentioned the monastery, Jethavanarama, I visited there. I saw the little children, two also very learned, educated monks, and those who are working there as well as those who are teaching there and learning there. All of them had such amazing discipline. Generally, people come to our ashram and say, especially the politicians, they say, "We've never seen such discipline anywhere. All your children, everybody is so quiet," because generally these political gatherings are quite noisy. But one place where I saw discipline more than our place was in Jethavanarama. They were so disciplined. Except for some kids who were sitting in the front who were pinching each other, rest all were that they do everywhere. They were really small, 6 years old or 7 years old kids. They were a little bored of my lecture, so I think they were looking here and there. But otherwise, what discipline, what perfect symmetry of how they sit, how they behave, how they walk. Everything is so very nice to see. And what a wonderful culture Guru Tero has taught all of them. And they just don't preach and teach, but they also work for the society. And one of their projects really touched my heart was for rehabilitating the drug addicts or people who have gotten into substance abuse. They're working very hard to teach them spirituality as well as do whatever other things that are needed. And something that I wanted to learn from them, I told our hospital also work with them on mental issues of anxiety and all the other things that the world is going through right now. Spirituality is the only permanent solution. Medication can help us, but meditation is the real solution. That is what they're teaching all the people, the youngsters and everybody. And a lot of people go there. And I was told about it also by Auntie Penny, who goes there regularly for their Sunday lectures in Colombo. So I'm very happy that they're associating with us, and some of their students are going to be joining our university as research scholars and also for various other courses. I had to delay that by saying November is very busy, let them come after November because everything is full here. Accommodations are full, everybody's hands are more than full, nobody has time for anything else. So soon after this function gets over, I think we would start that program of educational exchange as well as our healthcare related programs also with them, and also nutrition program, as they had mentioned that they would assist us in spreading our nutrition program also in Sri Lanka for the vulnerable children. So I'm very happy and very grateful to Guru Thero and to Amadasana Thero for being here and being a part of this, and looking forward to receiving Guru Thero shortly for the World Religion Summit that is going to happen between 21st and 23rd of November here. So thank you very much once again.